Hello and welcome to the In Publishing podcast, bringing you weekly insights into the newspaper and magazine publishing sector. I'm Ciar Byrne, and this week my guest is Hannah Taylor, editor of independent magazine The Delicate Rebellion. We would like to thank our podcast sponsor ATEX. ATEX provides software solutions to newspapers, magazines and online publishers worldwide. Its products include Desk, a content management suite with flexible options for efficient digital and print publishing, and Cross Advertising, a cloud-based solution providing end-to-end multi-channel advertising management. For more information, go to atex.com. Our guest this week on the In Publishing podcast is Hannah Taylor from The Delicate Rebellion. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, can you begin by telling us how The Delicate Rebellion came about and what is your mission and your vision?
Well, The Delicate Rebellion is actually, I guess, the big sister publication of our previous magazine called She Is Fierce. So we started printing that back in 2017. And during the first 4 issues of that, I grew up a lot and so did our readership. So last year we rebranded to Delicate Rebellion. So I guess it feels now that we're wearing a coat that fits us. Our mission and vision is, I guess, to provide inspiration in the form of creative role models for people. So we kind of shy away from celeb and mainstream culture and focus on mainly women in the arts and creative industries who are carving out a career for themselves.
And you mentioned She Is Fierce. Can you just go back a bit and tell us more about that and then why you felt it was time to change and refine what you were doing with that?
So when I first started publishing, I just come out of uni. I studied a master's in magazine publishing at Napier University, and I guess I just wanted a project that would kind of keep my fingers in the magazine publishing pot, if you like, until I could find my feet in the industry. So I started an online, just basically on Instagram, put a call out for submissions for creative and artistic work with a focus on the teenage girls market. Throughout my when I was doing my dissertation, I looked at lots of different avenues, and one of the things that kind of piqued my interest was the teenage girls market and the lack of sort of diversity in those titles, the lack of sort of inspiring content. I ended up doing my dissertation on something completely different, but that thought was always there. And I'm also a mother to a little girl, so it was kind of went hand in hand with my interest there. So I started this on Instagram. We printed a zine from the submissions that we received, and it was our first proper big issue, printed in, I think, December of 2016, and it was aimed at teenage girls.
Right.
And there was nothing else out there for teenage girls like that at the time. It was beautifully printed, beautifully designed on gorgeous paper, and it was a real keeper. But the feedback from that was, because we were focusing on creative and artistic content, that essentially there should be no age limit to that, because the people who were buying it for their daughters were reading it and consuming it and enjoying it as well. So soon after the first issue, I felt that we should just open up to everybody, and there was no age caps or age limits put on submissions. It was 14 and up. There was no upward limit. And we kind of got rid of all mention of the teenage girls market, because we were still capturing that audience anyway, because it was where we had kind of stemmed from. And then I guess 4 issues later, I felt like we had grown up with our audience, and the name She Is Fierce just didn't fit. I actually never liked it from the beginning. I just didn't expect the project to kind of grow the arms and legs that it did. So before we got any larger, if you like, I wanted to make it feel comfortable for me and the readers. So change was needed. So we kind of tightened our belt last year and made it into a comfortable place for us to all move forward.
And I was going to ask about the name, The Delicate Rebellion. Where did that come from? And I noticed there's an acute accent on the E, giving it a bit of a French feel. But I think I read you saying that you don't speak French yet, but it's an aspiration.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like the magazine and the community is all about aspiration. And I feel like I've always been really transparent with my journey and, you know, what I can do and what I can't do. I am actually learning French, and I have been for a while. But yeah, the aspiration to kind of do something that you want to do for your own reasons and for no other reason than just because you want to is like a big part of our ethos and encouraging people to kind of just give it a try. So that's why I thought, oh, we'll just put a wee accent there. But yeah, the Delicate Rebellion, it it was quite a journey actually trying to get a name that felt right. About 5 months earlier, I decided that I was going to change the name and picked another name. And I was absolutely 100% certain that that was going to be the name. And then, I don't know, I was chatting to one of my friends about it, and she was like, really? Kind of sounds a little bit shoppy. And I was like, And just that sort of doubt planted a seed in my mind, and I was like, oh my god, I hate that name now, and I'm so glad I didn't go with it. So the Delicate Rebellion came about. It was a mishmash between one of my Spotify playlists, the name of one of my Spotify playlists, which I'm completely anal about, and yeah, my aspiration to speak French, if you like. And I feel like it kind of, I don't know, it kind of fits as it fits. It definitely fits our community. We're definitely a bunch of soft souls, but yeah, we always say it's not about the noise, how loud a noise you make. It's about how you make it. So it kind of fits well.
And can you tell me more about your target reader? You explained that journey of starting off looking at teenage girls and then realising that their mums might be reading it as well, and actually there's no age limit on it. Does your reader have to be female? Can you tell us a bit more about her?
At the moment, we are, our main demographic, the main people who pick up our magazine are female and non-binary. We're here for everyone regardless of their relationship or non-relationship with gender. And our submissions are actually open to everyone too. So although we talk a lot about women in the creative industries, I think over the past couple of months that I've realised that we're actually just here for everyone. Anyone who has an interest in the art and creative industries, as long as they're nice people, then we absolutely want them to be part of the fold. So yeah, gender, age, everything. We're as long as you're not a dick, you can come in.
Great. I like that. Now, you talked about your dissertation. You did. You studied magazine journalism.
Yeah.
And I wrote so you wrote a really interesting piece for the Delicate Rebellion, certainly on your website recently, about the some of the most beautiful high concept print magazines out there. There does seem to have been a resurgence in high concept print magazines of late. Why do you think that is, and why was it the best fit for you?
I'm not sure if there's been a resurgence or there have always been sort of independent magazines. I just think that they're probably much more visible now thanks to social media.
Right.
I think nowadays people are, because of social media and how everyone, like the difference in the way that we consume news, people can be more inclined to, I guess, look for more grassroots journalism, and news from like different cultures and societies out with our own day to day. Yeah, and I guess I've I know that I've said that I've basically built my whole brand exclusively on social media, but I am an introvert and I am a bit of a daydreamer. So getting my message across in print, I guess, really suits my thought process more than churning out endless consumable, scrollable content. It's the way that my mind works is it's at a slower pace. I think I like to really research things, and I enjoy that part of the process. And I think print was obviously a good fit for that. It's, I guess, because it's created and digested considerately, it allows my readers to kind of spend time with whoever has written the article or whoever's created the artwork, and feedback and discussion around the subject that people are consuming. It comes at a slower pace than online, which is
And yet,
always...
hand in hand with that, sorry,
No,
sorry,
sorry.
but hand in hand with that, you do have a strong social media presence as well.
Yeah, I think I have obviously garnered a very, very lovely community around me on social media, and that was very important because essentially I've got no marketing budget. I do this pretty much solo, and I have done since the start. So social media is a great way for small independents and small independents in any industry to spread the word. So I've been very lucky that the vibe that I put out there has attracted a bit of a tribe, and they're very like-minded and they're very supportive. And I hope that I think the way that I use social media is it's more like a conversation with friends. I'm not just selling. My DMs are very busy, probably busier than my grid. That's, my grid posts on Instagram, Facebook kind of take a back seat because a lot of conversation just goes on in the background. Which is really lovely. It is really lovely, and it kind of and I have taken my foot off the pedal a little bit because I must admit, and I'm quite open to it, the introverted side of me finds social media quite overwhelming sometimes. So
Okay, yeah. And back to what you're hoping to achieve, you mentioned challenging the mainstream media's portrayal of women to begin with what was available for teenage girls. What are the main problems and issues that you've identified that you want to challenge?
I think the challenge in the mainstream kind of comes from the beginning of my journey. So when I first started publishing my pages, there was still a big focus on women and what they look like and how they conform to trends and stereotypes as well. The stereotype of women being sort of bitchy and catty and really judgmental was kind of forced upon us. When in fact, from my experience as a woman, is not true. I feel like when I reflect on my teenage years, a lot of that sort of bitchiness and cattiness came from being influenced by the media, like who wore it better. It was kind of like, oh my God, can you believe that she has went out wearing this? And that was kind of the conversations that we're having when I was growing up, and my friends kind of and myself kind of emulated that kind of chat in our social gatherings as well. And when I kind of removed myself from sort of consuming that media, I felt like I'd become a nicer person. So I just wanted to break that down and kind of focus on the women behind the talent, because the mainstream media, the bigger magazines weren't actually putting a focus on that at all. It was all about beauty products or reality TV stars, etc., etc. And so the first few issues of the magazine, it was very much a focus on the art or the writing of a woman as opposed to what she looked like. So we kind of, the first 4 issues, we used illustrations on the cover. We never focused on using an actual photograph on the cover. because we really wanted to turn our readers' attention away from that and be like, oh my God, these women are cool. It literally does not it does not matter what they look like. What they're doing is really cool and inspirational. And I wanted to kind of, I desperately wanted to get that into sort of teenagers, you know, so that they could aspire to do these cool things and see that they could also achieve something so cool just by playing on their own creativity. But more recently, I do feel that mainstream publications are doing much better. They are, you know, I feel like they definitely do have a more of a focus on good causes and women who are doing amazing things, which is great. So it's not so much of an issue, but I guess there's only so much that they can do, because there's still such a massive demand for the other type of content, the sort of trash talking content as well.
Yeah. Which brings me on to this idea of a creative community is central to your mission, and you actually have a group called The Collective, which runs alongside the Delicate Rebellion. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
The Collective, I guess, was like a natural progression for me. I was working full time until, where are we now? 2018. So I was working full time for an events company, which was, you know, it was quite a pressurized job. There was a lot going on, and I was doing the magazine at the same time. Plus, you know, I'm a single mum as well, so trying to fit publishing a magazine around all of that was the eternal juggle. And I was just I just kept going through spells of getting burnt out and more burnt out, and then kind of losing my focus. I wasn't printing regularly, and I really love the magazine. I love the opportunities that it brings for me to sort of meet and chat with other people who are hustling away just like myself. So this idea of creating a community kind of came to me, and I thought it was just a nice touch. I felt like because I was spending so much time writing features and interviewing amazing people, it meant that I was basically collecting a lot of new friends because they were so lovely. And I guess what I learned was, regardless of your niche in the creative industry, a hustler is a hustler. And we can learn a whole lot from each other regardless of our niches. So, fashion designer can, and I do have a fashion designer friend who, just through speaking to her on the phone, can instantly spark new ideas for ways that I can either distribute the mag or, features that I could put in the mag, etc. So I floated the idea of group mentorship with a few of the people that I'd worked with in the magazine. And they were super keen to share their experiences and, totally up for helping to support new creatives. So I kind of gathered up 25 of them together and asked 100 women to join us for a year of like workshops and support to help level up in a closed, safe space, if you like. So, yeah.
And is this the second year that you've run that now?
Yeah, so we're halfway through the second year.
Okay.
And we had quite a lot of people come back from the first year, which was really lovely. So, and the good thing about it is that everyone, it is such a safe space. And I know that there is other membership groups out there who are helping women in business, but I think you really have to vibe with the group before you join. And I guess I was looking for something myself to join, because I as I mentioned before I quit my job, I was overwhelmed, stressed. I was reaching burnout every 2 or 3 weeks, but I desperately wanted to make my business work. So I was kind of looking for something to help myself as well. But nothing out there was kind of vibing with me. It was all very brash, very shouty, or it was putting one person at the helm who claimed to be the person who was going to teach you everything that you needed to know about business, despite or regardless of the industry that they had knowledge of. So it kind of came from a place of need as well. But yeah, so we're in our second year, and it is really exciting. Obviously, the pandemic has kind of thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, and we've had to be adapting to that for the content that we're giving the community. But I'm part of the collective to learn and grow my own hustle, which is essentially the magazine. And I think because I've always been dead transparent about my journey, it's nice to have that safe space for even me to breathe out. And the collective does that for a lot of people.
And do the other members pay? Is it a paid for thing? Or
yeah, it's a paid for thing.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
essentially that was my safety net when I jumped ship from full-time employment. Was, you know, I put it on as a paid membership, and it was membership fees essentially that gave me that safety net to sort of take the leap into full-time on the mag, really.
And can I come on to ask, how difficult was it to publish a magazine in a pandemic? I've seen a few comments on your website about that. You did bring out an issue right in those first few weeks of lockdown. How was that?
Yeah, it was awful. If I'm being honest, I definitely wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I think it depends on your situation, really. If you had like a big, beautiful country house, and you know you had a lot of support, and you weren't worried about where, you know, your wage was coming from or anything like that, then, you know, it might be possible. But, you know, as I mentioned, I'm a single mum. We live in a top floor flat. And it's been really difficult to try and juggle everything. It's thrown issues up at every single email. There's an issue, whether it is obviously we've not been able to go out and take photos for features or anything, so the girls have had to be really think outside of the box, if you like, about how we get those images and the visuals in. And it's just been, it's been an absolute learning curve, as though I thought I needed any more of those. But now that it's come back from print, so it arrived back about 10 days ago, and I'm still sort of decompressing from all of that. And I am finally starting to look at the magazine and think, oh, that's a good job. You've done all right there, you know?
Yes.
But yeah.
And how are you getting it out now? How are you going to be able to distribute it?
Well, just the same way that we always have. So the magazine is essentially, it's funded by pre-orders. So this one was no different. We had hoped to have some advertising revenue for this year. We were looking at getting some sponsorship from brands, and it was all looking positive. And we were in chats with some great companies who unfortunately had to back out because of the pandemic. So we were kind of thrown back into doing it solo again, which I guess is like, you know, it's disappointing. Of course it's disappointing, but it's actually not a big deal. We've done it off our own back many times before. So that's fine. But yeah, so we had 240 pre-orders go out over the first sort of 4 to 5 days. And normally I can get those out in a couple of days, but it took me about a week to try and catch up with all of those, just because logistically the post offices are obviously working very hard on a sort of skeleton staff, reduced hours, etc. And the amount of time that I can spend in the studio is limited as well, so that kind of threw up things. But yeah, we're still sending out every day. So orders are coming through the website a lot. We've just sent out our first lot of retailer orders, and we're hoping to kind of expand on our retailers list in the next couple of weeks.
And was it this issue that you created personalised covers for?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? How did you come up with the idea, and how many did you do?
Oh,
is it something you would do again?
Well, I guess with every issue that we've done before, so it's a bit confusing because people are like, oh, it's the first issue of this. And it is definitely, it's 100% the first issue of Delicate Rebellion, but we did print 4 She Is Fierce before this.
Yeah.
So with every issue, I give a little something to say thank you to the people who pre-order, because essentially if it wasn't for them, I couldn't cover my print run. So, and I guess the idea of gifting goes back to my initial obsession with the teenage girls magazines, where the pull for them tends to be a really crap nail varnish or something stuck on the front. And so from the start, I always wanted to give something that was really high quality. So, for example, we did like really beautiful limited edition enamel pins and patches, art prints. And yeah, for this one, because I feel like this is kind of the big sister, if you like, and my pages are like my most precious project, if you like. And because I still have the luxury of being quite a small publication, personalising each cover was my way of giving the readers a little bit of that for themselves. I thought, I mean, what's more special than, you know, giving a slice of print to someone? So yeah, and I think it's gone down really well. People seem to really love it. Each one was like, it wasn't like a spreadsheet pull-in job, each one was individually typed into my design document. So it felt really special doing it for everyone.
And you also have a small online store. I wondered how those different pillars of your business, so you've got the store, you've got the print magazine, the collective, how do they work together and complement one another?
Well, I think because the magazine going forward prints twice a year, it was really important for me to kind of identify some other, I guess, from like some streams of income. Whereas before the rebrand, I was just clutching at straws. I didn't really have much time to sort of think about anything really. I was taking the magazines to markets, vintage markets, and you know, I'm not a business woman, so I was just, you know, I wasn't really putting much thought or structure into what we were doing. So when I rebranded, I really wanted to be quite concise with where I spent my time. So yeah, we've got the magazine, the store, the collective, and the events. So the magazine prints twice a year, and the magazine, although it makes no money, it's the absolute heart of my business. The collective offers, I guess, exciting momentum to the year because we run a 12-month term, as I mentioned, which is really nice because every year we can pick up new mentors, we can pick up new members, and because we run on a 12-month sort of term basis, we can move quite quickly with things that change, so new platforms and new technology. We can keep up to date with that quite well. And it's nice to have a start, middle, and end. And it's really lovely that it's a closed community. So once we start in October, our doors are then closed for the year. So the girls in the group get a really amazing chance to really get to know each other and network really well, which is lovely. And then between that, we have events, which obviously have been scuppered for the year. Although I mentioned that I'm a bit of an introvert, I do love an in real life event. I kind of cater my events towards introverts, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they're always quite small, quite intimate. The way that they are marketed is really thoughtful. When we have the event, I send out my mobile number to everyone who's come in, just in case they're nervous to come in by themselves, and I'll go outside and meet them. So I like to keep everything really really close, if you know what I mean. We're very welcoming, but we don't like to overwhelm. So and the merchandise, the store itself, is just a way for me to try and make some extra cash to keep things ticking over from, I guess, between issues. And I guess the idea for that is to diversify diversify our range. I'm quite excited to collaborate with more people on some new products this year. So kind of opening up our platform to creatives that need a little bit more exposure.
Great. And looking back at your own publishing journey,
Yeah.
I know it's quite a difficult question to answer, but would you have advice for someone thinking about launching their own independent magazine?
Yeah, I think like it has to come like from the heart. You have to be really passionate about it. So really take time to consider what makes you really happy. Like what would you love to spend the rest of your time reading and writing about? What kind of people do you want to spend your time with, and kind of develop it from there. From that, you will hopefully create a little bit of a community around you, and I think community is a great place to start. So although it's coming from your own passions, you'll eventually create a little bit of a tribe, and they'll help kind of uplift and kickstart your journey in publishing. Yeah.
And what about the Delicate Rebellion? Where next? What's going to happen with the next issue? And do you have big plans for the future?
God, I don't really ever think too far ahead. We're looking forward to launching awards in the next couple of weeks. So it was something that we had, we'd chatted about quite a lot in the collective, and it's such a good way to sort of offer a tip of the cap to creatives who are singing for their supper, much like I am. So we've been working hard behind the scenes, reaching out to judges and people who want to be involved in that. And I think despite the pandemic and the obvious restrictions that are going to be around live events, we are thinking outside the box and hoping that we are going to still go ahead with that in sort of November time. We've got the awards, then we'll be printing issue 2 towards the end of the year, and then hopefully 2021 we can really start building on our smaller events, our Secret Sundays and our collective meetups, and start building on that again. Sorry.
I was going to say, you're based in Edinburgh. Is it mainly for people from Scotland, from the Edinburgh area, or can it be from further afield?
Yeah, we've actually got it's for anyone, honestly. Like we've got members in the collective from Europe. We've got readers from all corners of the world, actually. But interestingly, our stats are we are 60% like London based of our like followers on social media. We're pretty national, international. So yeah, we don't discriminate.
And finally, and I know you have spoken against the cult of celebrity, so this is not a celebrity question. Okay. You might just want to choose somebody quite ordinary, but I wondered which women in the media space do you particularly admire and why?
I mean, I guess there's quite a lot, but if I'm keeping it to sort of like publishing magazines, then I think probably Penny Martin from The Gentlewoman. I really love how considered their publication is, and I think also like we're really lucky that our vibe has attracted our really special tribe. I think that Penny's managed to achieve the same with The Gentlewoman. I know that she does these like sort of events and in real life meetups for women from around the country, and it just seems like a really considered, comfortable approach to community, and I really like that. So yeah.
Great. Well, Hannah Taylor from the Delicate Rebellion, thank you so much for joining us on the In Publishing podcast this week.
Oh, thanks so much.
I would like to thank ATEX again for sponsoring this podcast. If you would like to discuss how ATEX can help you with either your content or advertising management, then check out their website at atex.com, or contact Alberto Mari, their Head of Business Development, on 07500 433 157 or by email at amari@atex.com. Thank you very much to Hannah for being our guest this week. You can find out more about the Delicate Rebellion at thedelicaterebellion.com, where you will also find links to their Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. We hope you're enjoying our new podcast series. If you have any feedback or suggestions, then we'd love to hear from you via editorial@inpublishing.co.uk. Thank you for listening, and please join me next week on the In Publishing podcast.